On this video, I'm going to explore the topic of introverts and autism. You asked for it, so we're going to discuss the clear differences between being an introvert and an autistic person. Let's go. Welcome, my friend. Great to see you. I'm Orionkelly, that autistic guy. I'm all about helping you raise your level of understanding, acceptance, and appreciation of the autistic community. So if that sounds like something you'd be interested in, it'd be awesome if you'd consider subscribing to my YouTube channel. Not only will you get an entire library full of content all about autism, but, and the best part is, you'll join the absolute best community on YouTube. Okay, don't be shy. You see what I did there? Let's talk about introverts and autism. Not dissimilar to my video on autistic people constantly being labeled as narcissists. For some reason, there are people who continue to tell autistic people, you're not autistic, you're just an introvert. And further to that, why is it that some people think all autistic people are introverts? Or if I'm an introvert, I must be autistic. So before we unpack all that baggage, let's start by breaking down what is an introvert. As always, important to note, I'm not a healthcare professional, psychiatrist, academic. I'm just a guy who's autistic. I'm just using my own lived experiences as an autistic person to discuss my understanding of introverts and autistic people. So what is an introvert? An introvert is a person whose personality is characterized by introversion. A typically reserved or quiet person who tends to be introspective and enjoys spending time alone. Now, in general terms, introverts need quiet to concentrate. They're reflective. They're self-aware. They take time making decisions. They feel comfortable being alone. They don't like group work. They prefer to write rather than talk. They feel tired after being in a crowd. They have few friendships, but are very close with these friends. They daydream or use their imaginations to work out a problem. They retreat into their own mind to rest. An introvert is a personality type. Autism is a medically diagnosed neurodevelopmental disability. Our autistic brain affects how we perceive the world around us, others, and ourselves. In essence, we have a completely different brain and therefore a completely different view of everything. So in basic general terms, we now have a pretty good understanding of introverts versus autism. Well, now let's have a bit of a deep dive. Let's compare traits and differences. And what's really important to start with is it's actually quite common for adults to go undiagnosed till later in life because they were of the opinion that they're just introverts. In other words, a feeling that they're just an introvert led them to go undiagnosed as an autistic person right through until later in life. This isn't uncommon. Critically though, being an introvert or being autistic is not the same thing. Why are they not the same? Let's talk about it. And we'll start in the realm of social interaction. So an introvert by nature, being an introvert, seeks out alone time and avoids social gatherings and interactions. Okay, sounds pretty autistic to me. That's what you're thinking, right? However, introverts have no problem understanding social rules, social norms, social cues. In other words, they get the game, they just don't like playing it. They avoid the game, they avoid social interactions, purely because in being a part of it drains them of their energy. Now, while some autistic people clearly do the same thing on the surface, the reasons are very different. For starters, alone time, which we talk about in so many videos, is for the most part for regulation. As an autistic person with a different brain and a different way of not only experiencing ourselves and other people, but experiencing the world around us. Alone time is not only important for regulation to maintain a level that won't lead to a meltdown or a shutdown or create autistic burnout, but also it helps us to delve into our special interests. So it's not about avoiding it because we don't like it and it takes our energy away. It's at a much higher level. Clearly, an introvert's personality Autism is a medically diagnosed disability, which clearly leads to the next point, which is autistic people avoid social interactions because of challenges we have with social interactions, with communication. We have an autistic brain. As a result, we experience and understand and process interactions and communication differently, and by stock standard diagnostics, have challenges, struggle in the interaction and communication with others. In general terms, introverts don't have these challenges, don't have these struggles. They can well understand and fully adapt to social interactions, can have social interactions and not have any issues aside from the fact that it drains their energy and they don't feel comfortable in gatherings and interactions, right? Conversely, autistic people who genuinely struggle as part of having an autistic brain can come across in ways that an introvert would not come across in a social situation. Okay, so for example, autistic people can often come across as disinterested, disengaged, or rude or standoffish, dismissive. Further to that, a lack of eye contact and an awkwardness around physical interactions and communications, hugs and shaking hands, these types of things, can cause others to wrongly label autistic people as introverts. Now, what's really interesting about this conversation around social interactions is, we've talked about it, clearly introverts seek alone time. They avoid social interactions. On the flip side, some autistic people actually gain or draw energy from interacting with others. In other words, are to some degree extroverts, the complete opposite of an introvert. Now, to break that down, what I mean is some autistic people actually thrive, look forward to and gain energy from interacting with interest groups. So like-minded people that might have a similar passion. It could be gaming or a certain type of TV show or a certain type of interest or hobby, right? They're like-minded people. They may be autistic people who have similar passions. They may not. In addition to that, they are, as a rule, usually supported in these interactions. The bottom line is autistic people can both be introverts and extroverts, whereas introverts can only be introverts. You can have the personality of an introvert and be diagnosed autistic, and you can be diagnosed autistic and have the personality of an extrovert. Let's move on to self-awareness. This is a really interesting one to cover. Again, I'm talking in general terms here, but introverts are often able to identify and adjust when they sense they're annoying others. So introverts are not only able to identify they need to move on, but in fact, they can. They get the rules, the cues. A person with an introvert personality type is still able to read body language, is still able to understand and pick up on cues, be that verbal or non-verbal cues. They can read situations. Conversely, autistic people can really struggle to identify, process, understand the thoughts and feelings of others. I know it firsthand as an autistic person. I very rarely know when it's time to stop talking. Autistic people, in general terms, will often continue to talk about whatever they're talking about, which is clearly and usually around some sort of passion or interest. They'll continue to talk about that well after it's clear to others that the people in the conversation no longer want to talk about that topic. They want to move on. The autistic person unaware of that just continues, despite of what the other people are trying to convey. It's not apparent to autistic people. So self-awareness and the awareness of others is another clear difference between introverts and autistic people. Another way to differentiate introverts and autistic people is all about routines. Oh yes, routines. So clearly people with a personality type of an introvert may not like social gatherings and events. And because of that, they're obviously not going to like unexpected social gatherings or unexpected events as well. The difference is that people who have a personality type of an introvert are still able to adapt and adjust. In other words, quickly accept the routine change if required. So like everyone, it might be an annoyance, but it's not a roadblock that can't be overcome. On the other hand, as autistic people, we have a strong reliance on routine, on plans, on structure, on the stability of our day-to-day life. In essence, our regulation as autistic people is based on predictability, plans, and stringent routines. So unexpected events changes in routine and things not going to plan can have a serious impact on an autistic person. And this often leads to meltdowns, shutdowns, dysregulation, ultimately autistic burnout. Another distinction between the personality type of introverts and autistic people is around sensory stimuli. Now, in general terms, introverts and autistic people can both be affected by sensory stimuli. Both share sensitivities to certain types of senses, be that noise, light, feel, these types of things. It's only autistic people that can be seriously affected by that sensory overload based on an inability to adapt or adjust to that sensory stimuli. Overstimulation, and understimulation for that matter, can cause autistic people to experience meltdown, shutdown, general dysregulation. On the other hand, introverts are able to tune out of the sensory stimuli. Introverts are able to adapt, to adjust, and find ways to recharge immediately after experiencing some sort of sensory stimuli. As an autistic person, I simply don't have that luxury. I can't just decide, okay, this is overwhelming. Let's just adjust and adapt and get back on track. It's just not something that my brain is able to just click out of. Clear difference. So have we cleared that up or what? Not all autistic people are introverts. And if any questions or thoughts popped up during this discussion, feel free to put them in the comments below. Thank you so much for your support. I really do appreciate it. Don't forget, if you haven't already, to subscribe to my YouTube channel to join this amazing community. Until my next video, thank you so much for watching, and we'll talk soon.